I have to create this new life that I promised this little girl of mine, me, that is going to happen when I was an adult. And it's not happening because I'm not changing anything. So then I read this amazing book by Louise Hay, You Can Heal Your Life. Have you heard of this book? Well, that book changed my life. Yeah, yes, it's an amazing book, right? Yes, so that book has changed my life because that book is all about self-love. And I got reconnected back to that girl that I knew nothing about, myself. I was so disconnected. I could look in the mirror and she's there in the mirror and me, and I had no I didn't even know who she was. I had no connection. I don't know if any of you ever had that, lack of connection to yourselves, but that's how deep it was for me. And it took time. And what I realized at that moment is that things cannot change with the same thinking that I have now. So what I knew was that I had to take that cycle that I was in of my past, right? All the things that I was believing in, the comparison, the competition, and the scarcity, all those things that I was buying into. And I had to shift that, and I had to create something new, right? Because nothing new can happen in a place where you are. I believe you have to break cycles. That's the only way to make change. We have to break cycles. We have to shift and change. And we do that our whole life. It's not like just a one-time thing. I always say, fear will freeze you and love will free you. So you have to reconnect back to yourself. That's why that connection back to your love, to yourself is so important, because fear is not real, right? The fear is really in our head. So when we think a lot about things, we rethink them in our head, I almost say being in your head is like being in a bad neighborhood, right? Because it creates all these fears and all these things, and we're stuck. We're not really flowing and connecting to ourselves in life. So we can get out of our head and stop playing those stories that really keep us from moving forward in our lives and really keep us frozen in our lives. Then we can free ourselves. But it's a process. It doesn't happen in one day. It doesn't happen overnight. It's a process of just taking one little step at a time towards your goal. One little step, and every step counts, right? I look at life as like a stairway. Every step, you take a step closer to where you need to go, and before you know it, and it never ends, but before you know it, you're in a much better place. So just don't be afraid. Don't let the fear become real. The first thing you should do is just figure out what it is that you really want to create, right? Because life is about creating. You're here to create. You're a creative human being. We're all here creative human beings. We all came to create something. So first you got to figure out what it is that really makes you passionate. What lights you up? What lights your heart up, right? And that's the first thing you have to figure out, because you have to create a path to follow, because otherwise you could be all over the place, right? So it's about finding your path, finding your purpose. And again, that takes time. That takes time to write, to journal, to connect, to meditate, to do yoga, to do things again to connect to your soul, because the soul has the answers. Your soul has the answers. It might be buried deep inside it, but when you're able to go deeper inside yourself, you can find out what your true purpose and gifts are.